Here, here to tell you a little bit about what's going on in Mesa. Short story, not much. No. So I'm going to be going pretty fast, going over some recent development projects in some of the highest growth areas of the city. Feel free to stop me if you need kind of clarification or any of that. Within reason, I have about 45 minutes, right? More like 40 at this point, so I'm going to try and keep on schedule. But yeah, feel free to stop me if you need any clarification. Sound good? So, City of Mesa, Office of Economic Development. Here is the boilerplate for mission. Generally what we do is we work with companies to bring jobs and investment to improve economic opportunity in the city and improve the city's ability to provide services, increasing wages, increasing quality of life, and increasing quality of development so that we can provide the quality of form to improve quality of function of industry in the city. So by the numbers, what we're looking at, Mesa, a large city. I've talked to people outside the region that are like, Mesa, that's a small town, right? I'm like, not exactly. It's about 520,000 estimated population this year. So that makes us the second largest city in the greater Phoenix area, third largest in the state behind Phoenix and Tucson, obviously. And something you might not know, 36th largest city in the US, bigger than some bigger brand names, if you will, such as Miami, Minneapolis, Atlanta, and we used to include St. Louis on that list, but I guess we're down to 3. So yes, Mesa, a large city anchoring growth in the Southeast Valley. Some more numbers for you. Household income is about on par with the rest of Arizona, 72,000 median household income as of the last data, but more affordable on the whole than what we're seeing in Arizona, especially with that relative wealth and income development that we're seeing in the city. Median price of a single family home, last available data in Arizona was about $418,000, so we're substantially lower than that in Mesa, improving that kind of economic opportunity and wealth creation through assets that I'm sure you guys are very well aware is important to the day-to-day of the wealth creation in the region. Very large industrial base, about 13,500 businesses located in Mesa, and we're continuing to grow. The 17% population growth in the last 12 years, that is higher than the state as a whole, which saw about 15% growth over the same period of time, and then the country, Arizona doubled the country's pace of growth in the same time period, 7.7% at the US level, and we are, 2.5 times that in the city of Mesa. So continued opportunities for growth. We approved just shy of 1,600 residential permits in 2022. We'll have 2023 numbers to share pretty shortly. This 42.4% educational attainment, post-secondary educational attainment rate in the city. It's one of the biggest reasons for why companies continue to choose to locate and grow in the city of Mesa. So who are we? What do we do? I know I told you the guiding light, the mission of Office of Economic Development, getting into the nitty-gritty of how we do that. Our lines of service, the ones that you might be most familiar with from the headlines, marketing and business attraction. Obviously the big headline generators where you see, events and press releases and quotes from elected officials and elected officials holding shovels and throwing up a little handful of dirt and contributing quotes. That is the biggest eyes on what we do, and it's what takes up most of my time, to be honest. But that generally only accounts for about 20% of job growth within a local economy. The one right below it, business retention and expansion, is really the bulk of our work. And it's everybody's job, though we do have a project manager assigned to business retention and expansion strategy. But everybody in the office contributes to maintaining the relationships with our existing businesses, ensuring they're happy and capable of continuing to grow in the city. And that usually accounts for about 80% of the total job growth from existing businesses in the city. Workforce development and talent attraction. Like I said, 17% growth over the past 12 years of available data. That is testament to the quality of life and the economic opportunity in the city. And if you talk to any business that is continuing to grow and you ask them what their top 3 priorities are for maintaining that ability to grow, it's always workforce, and number 3, workforce. 4 and 5 are real estate, product, and utilities, but workforce is really the driving factor behind much of this. And I mentioned on that last slide about 1.5 million total population within the 30-minute commute shed of downtown Mesa, within the commute shed of Southeast Mesa, the Gateway area where we're seeing a lot of growth. It's about 1.7, 1.8 million. So that maintaining our relationships with education partners and those service providers that continue to upskill, reskill, and place incumbent workers in positions, that is critical to everything that we do. Next up is entrepreneurship. This is where we really, truly develop wealth and innovation at the community level. If you think about the headlines over the years, we're attracting tons of companies from California, and yet they continue to grow even as the 6th largest economy in the world. Standalone, California is the 6th largest economy in the world. So how do they keep doing that? They have far and away the greatest entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem probably in the world. And that is how they continue to develop these new companies, develop wealth in their communities, and it's something that we're endeavoring to continue in Mesa. And we have, that is nurtured by the existing industrial base. But really it's about getting the capital and the access to opportunity to our residents so that they can have these innovative ideas and bring those to market. And then last but not least, redevelopment and revitalization. This is really the eventual work of all established communities. If you think about the timeline of development within Greater Phoenix, City of Mesa was founded, I hope I don't get this wrong, 1873, give or take a year or two. And really we've only seen substantial growth in our community since the 1950s and 1960s. Widespread air conditioning, the return of soldiers and growth post-war. That is really when we've seen the largest growth in the region. So West Mesa has been more built out, and we're just now approaching full build out for Southeast Mesa. And that is reflected in our primary redevelopment areas being on that west side of the city. Fiesta District, Riverview District, downtown, and Main Street corridor. So improving that form of development, improving the quality of development to match that quality of function and productivity in the city. So here are our primary employment corridors, 1 through 5. I'm mostly going to be focusing today on the Falcon District, Gateway District, and downtown. There is tons of work being done in our big redevelopment areas, the Fiesta District and the Riverview area, but I gotta keep you guys coming back for more. There is lots of new stuff happening on the west side of the city. It's just kind of in progress, and there will be more announcements to come from those projects in short order. So there's plenty of content on the east side of the city to fill 45 minutes anyway. So number one, Falcon District, the cradle of aerospace and defense in Arizona. There is obviously a substantial presence of that industrial sector really across all of the East Valley, all over the valley, but where we have seen much of that come from over the years is the Falcon District, anchored by Falcon Field Airport. If you didn't know, that's the second busiest general aviation airport in the country by number of flights. I don't have the number of flights. But really, you know, a incredibly valuable asset to the city, Northeast Mesa. Number two, the largest, or the area that takes up most of my time. The Gateway area, the fastest growing industrial submarket potentially in the nation. I haven't actually pulled the numbers, but with about 50 million square feet of site plans submitted to the city, various stages of planning. We have a ton of industrial activity in Gateway area, all in the 85212 zip code. Number three, the Fiesta District. Those of you who have been in the valley for a long time know Fiesta Mall used to be the center of the universe. Recently bladed, so there's a lot more to come from there. Couple different potential avenues that moves forward, but also a very healthy Class B office submarket, about 2 million square feet there, and lots of financial services, and really one of the greatest opportunities we see for improving form, density, and you know, access to employment opportunities and access to transit as we kind of move forward with some of the big public projects in that part of the city. Number four, downtown, the cradle of education, arts and culture, and world-class food in Mesa, as well as our civic center, of course, government services based out of downtown. Tons of new development. I will get into all of that. And then last but not least, the Riverview area, our primary Class A office submarket, anchored by Riverview Mall, home of the Cubs. And you know, Class A has been on a bit of a downswing recently, but really as we see that kind of pick back up over the next couple of years, as we see return to office kind of get back to 100%, this is where we're going to see a lot of opportunity. And if you think about the workforce development catchment area and the ability for the high talent coming from the East Valley, Southeast Valley, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, Queen Creek, that doesn't want to deal with the surface and highway traffic north and west of the 101-202 juncture, this is kind of the ideal place for that. So lots more to come from Riverview area and some big redevelopment opportunities there as well. So we're going to jump into the Falcon District. Like I said, this is the cradle of aerospace and defense in Mesa, home of these lovely companies. Boeing, the manufacturing of Apache attack helicopter systems takes place in Mesa, just north of Falcon Field. One of our largest employers, they have over 4,000 employees at that plant, continuing to expand, continuing to innovate and bring new technologies in composite materials, supporting warfighters and supporting the work of our soldiers overseas and enabling them to do all the great work that they do. Some other big defense and other employers in the area, MD Helicopters manufactures their systems right near Boeing. Northrop Grumman, they have a very large presence in the Falcon area as well. Nammo Defense Systems, they manufacture munitions right up in the farthest away corner of Northeast Mesa, backed up against the desert. You can imagine, when you're dealing with a lot of explosives. gotta have a bit of separation. Some other large employers, new electric vehicles. They have a R&D and small manufacturing line in the Falcon District. Mitsubishi Chemical Advanced Materials, now recently name changed to Mitsubishi Chemical Group. They do advanced plastic technologies manufacturing just south of Falcon Field Airport. Large Amazon distribution center, 700 employees there, and special devices as well, with a large presence in the Falcon area. Some of the new builds that have been recently delivered and opportunities for development. Mesa Grandview, this is a Sunbelt Investment Holdings International project. It's right at the corner of the 202 and Higley. If you're driving up there, you'll see the Sunbelt sign over there. There's big build-to-suit opportunities for industrial users, as well as some of that speculative project coming online in the next year and a half or so. Some recently developed and delivered product, Longbow Business Park, northwest corner of McDowell and 58th Circle, 250,000 square feet of speculative industrial that has recently been delivered. Ascend at Longbow, you see that on the east side of the golf course there. That is multifamily and mixed use, providing a variety of housing for nearby workforce. Northeast Mesa is one of our larger areas for executive housing product, and we need a variety of product to accommodate all types and all classes of workers. And then, of course, while we're talking about workforce, we need live, work, play amenities for those individuals before and after the work day. And we have a bunch of retail coming in. Northwest corner of Wrecker and 202, there is restaurant and medical space planned there, as well as, if you see, this area right here, Longbow Marketplace, Fat Cats, 12 West Brewing is building a brew pub there as well, a bunch of retail that is available for that part of the city. So, the elephant in the room, Gateway District. There we go. There we go. When we're looking at Gateway, the 85212 zip code extends to these intersections: Elliott to Germain, Power Road to Meridian. Meridian is also the county line. So east of that is Pinal County and state land, and lots of great stuff coming online just east of the county border, but we're going to focus mostly on what's happening in 85212 zip code. Sorry. Yeah, like I said, this is one of the fastest growing industrial submarkets in the country. 46.2 million square feet at some stage in the planning project. Under active construction, that's 17 million square feet, both speculative and user-driven. Tons of spec activity post-pandemic, the kind of gold rush in triple net industrial product brought a lot of capitalization to Southeast Mesa and really enabled us to work with tenants that had a high speed to market requirement and just have a ton of product available for all types of industrial users and use cases. Yeah, as well as bringing the infrastructure associated with that speculative development. So roads built out, sewer, water lines, electric extended, makes it much easier to enable additional future development with, you know, those lines in place and you know, people tying in as opposed to bringing the line a mile across a major arterial, shutting down all that traffic, and some of those upfront costs could be, you know, just as much as, you know, a 5-10 year lease, depending on the size of the building. So, additionally to that industrial activity, this is also a huge opportunity for hospitality, proximity to the airport, as well as some of the assets like Arizona Athletics Grounds, formerly Bell Bank Park, formerly Legacy Ballpark. You know, they've been changing hands recently, but as I understand it, very healthy financial position now moving forward. Some good strategic partnerships in place to ensure continuity of service for those 360 acres of athletics facilities, bringing tons of tourism, tons of, you know, families from across the Southwest and Western U.S. to you know, those types of tournaments and all the programming taking place there. So accommodating that, 360 hotel rooms planned and under construction at various points throughout the Southeast Mesa area to support our burgeoning hospitality industry. So what are we really realistically focused on in the Southeast Mesa area? These are our primary growth industries. You look back over the course of the past, you know, 10 years at this point. Elliott Road has become known as one of the centers of the universe for hyperscale data center activity. We've got 10 data centers there, anchored by some of the bigger names in hyperscale use, Meta, Google, Apple, as well as some of the larger co-location data center providers. They've brought about $10 billion of investment to the Elliott Road Tech Corridor between Sossman and Signal View. So that has really seeded much of the development, and our investments in infrastructure have enabled that type of development. It's not so much a focus for us moving forward. There are still parcels that are being acquired or have been acquired by data center users that will continue to be developed for data centers, but really we're a bit more focused on employment intensive operations at this point. Especially this next one, advanced manufacturing, automotive and semiconductor supply chain, electric vehicles, batteries, semiconductor supporting chemicals, those types of manufacturing opportunities are really what we're primarily focused on. Companies like Hyundai Transys, Mitsubishi Gas Chemical, which is different from Mitsubishi Chemical Group. It's almost like that's intentionally confusing. It has been the subject of a lot of debate in our office. Fujifilm, Pentagon Technologies, I could go on, but there are many users supporting the growth of the electric vehicle and semiconductor industries with large fab users such as, you know, the big $40 billion investment just south of us, Intel, TSMC. Those require very substantial supply chains, and much of it is located in Southeast Mesa. I know I said Falcon is the home of aerospace and defense in the Southeast Valley, but Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport, which I'll touch more on later, is really one of the drivers of growth in Southeast Mesa. Aerospace and defense continues to be a large growth area on the airport. Gulfstream has a 250,000 square foot maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility at Gateway Airport. Some other notable users on the airport, Cessna, Able Aerospace, Embraer, and Virgin Galactic. I had to imagine Sawson Road and like all the signs on it. Yes, we're manufacturing spaceships at Gateway Airport, and they'll be doing space tourism from not Mesa, but they'll be bringing those spaceships to New Mexico's spaceport for those types of commercial opportunities. So you know where to go if you want to for space. And then last on this list, logistics. It's not the sexiest industrial sector, but it is massively important to our just-in-time supply chain. Tons of growth in this area supporting industry. Amazon's largest distribution center in the country, 1.2 million square feet, is at the northwest corner of Elliott and Loop 202. DSV, a Danish freight forwarder, is establishing their regional headquarters at just south of Arizona Athletics grounds, so just across the street, just across Ellsworth from the airport. That'll be a 1.8 million square foot single facility, as well as regional headquarters, and much of their work and much of their expansion recently has been in support of Intel's growth here in Chandler. Cisco recently just opened a 350,000 square foot, $100 million investment at Warner in Ellsworth, and that will be really enabling continued growth and improved service to restaurant and hospitality users here in the East Valley. So, any of your friends own restaurants? I'll get to you in a second. Their will call will be in Southeast Mesa. So, you had a question?
Do you know if most of these companies will be relocating current workforces?
Generally, these are net new jobs.
Okay.
To the area. DSV, they've had administrative and support operations kind of all over the place, including an office like Allen School in Southern. They are relocating some of those. But yeah, no, Amazon, Cisco, DSV, except for that administrative headquarters position, all of those are new positions, which, especially on the aerospace side, is making us think, how can we facilitate some of those workforce opportunities? A&P technicians, which is airframe and powerhouse technicians, that is one of the critical dependencies for continued growth on the airport, and like Gulfstream's hiring like 500 of them. And Chandler Gilbert Community College has a training program, but they generally graduate about 20 to 40 on a good year. So we gotta figure out a potential like apprenticeship supply line, and potentially a talent attraction strategy for specifically that type of talent. So wish me luck on that. Couple of these big recent successes. You see our lovely council members and mayor. There we go. So breaking ground at one of these recent locates. Some good highlights. Super Radiator Coils, my favorite company name personally. They do advanced heat exchange systems that support the defense industry, support data centers, support really any type of advanced industry that creates a lot of heat and needs to move it away from the actual process. So very cool company, bringing just shy of 200 jobs, $80 million of investment. Some of these other ones that I mentioned, DSV, 266 new jobs, 212 million capital investment. Cisco, 260 jobs. And while that's a warehouse, they have like a really incredibly competitive pay scale. Average wage for their truck drivers and warehouse workers is about $63,000. So very happy to have them join the community, bringing that wealth to the community. Zenergy, this will be a global headquarters, another kind of similar but different advanced heat exchange technology, locating at Gateway East, which is Ellsworth and southwest corner of Ellsworth and Ray. I'll go into that a little bit more. But they'll be bringing 800 jobs at an average wage of about 80,000 with a $145 million investment. And then one of these large co-located data center users that has an established presence at Eastmark has already invested about $1 billion into that presence. They're continuing to expand and recently announced another $2 billion of investment at that facility. So we're happy to see the tax base keep growing. I kind of touched on this already. Many of our large employers here, huge names across the country. Very happy to have such an established corporate community. And Arizona State University Polytechnic campus, about 20,000 students there. What's up?
So I couldn't tell if you were okay. I was just sorry to interrupt, but I've lived in Eastmark for the last few years, and we would often just drive by all these just rows and rows of industrial stuff that they're building, and we're like, okay, I get it. I mean, it's cool that all these things are coming, but that seems like a lot of just these plain, ugly industrial buildings. What's the deal with that?
Big opportunity to see returns on investment. We've
Are they gonna
been
be
working
filled?
with, they will be filled. The delivery lease rate has kind of dropped from, at the height of the post-pandemic boom, the industrial product was delivering at 50% pre-leased. We're seeing it now more like 20 to 30%. But yeah, rest assured, I'll see to it personally that project gets filled. And we're continuing to work with our development partners and our corporate community to improve the aesthetic quality of those buildings that are being delivered. So, why do companies keep choosing Mesa? Speed to market, like I mentioned, with this speculative investment that we've seen from developers, the ability for a company saying, hey, we kind of kicked this can down the road too long, we need to be in a building and operational within the next year. We have a product for that. And the electric and water capacity, we've continued to invest in those assets to continue growth. Like I mentioned, workforce, 1.7 million within that 30-minute commute shed. And Southeast Valley has the greatest density of engineering talent in Arizona. So any of those advanced operations that need continued design support, that is exactly where they should be in Southeast Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler. And then relatively unique opportunities here in Southeast Mesa. City of Mesa operates our own foreign trade zone, so they can access the speed to delivering international product, as well as some additional property tax benefits that are unique to Arizona. It's a reclassification, I won't get too much into it, but basically for both of these programs, that reclass amounts to about a 71% decrease in property tax liability for a lot of those major investments, assuming that you are either on the airport or are an importer or exporter. So ASU Polytechnic, this is a huge source of that marginal supply in engineering talent, and much of the innovation coming out of Southeast Mesa will be coming out of this new school that has been developed for Fulton Engineering Schools, the Center for Manufacturing Systems and Networks. First step towards unlocking development in 400 acres just south of the Polytechnic campus, which is just southwest of the Gateway Commercial Terminal. Yeah, and really that'll be driven by industry partnerships with companies and research being conducted at ACE. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the primary anchor. I know I touched on it a little bit. For the Gateway area, Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport, formerly Williams Air Force Base, 1.9 million passengers in 2022, 45 destinations, 30 of which are unique to the airport relative to Sky Harbor. So much of this middle America destinations and you know, much of the Midwest can be accessed from Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. They're continuing to grow. 30,000 square foot terminal expansion will be opening this month. It's February now, right? Yep. And they have plans to continue to expand that. I believe the threshold is 2.7 million passengers, where they will activate their option to fully relocate the passenger terminal from the west side of the airport to the north side. Ray and Hawes is where that's going to be. So, downtown, I know I'm getting pretty close to the time, so I don't want to leave time for questions. Downtown Mesa has been a great success story for us. $600 million in investment, 250 residential units added in the past decade, but you can see these numbers here. We've more than tripled that since 2020, and then the same amount of units are planned to come online this year. And we have another 1,600 residential units that are planned to come to downtown Mesa. Some great food, some great breweries coming and have come to Main Street, where we also have a revitalization fund. We're improving signage and improving street frontages quality for those users. One of my favorite restaurants in the valley is Spiritu. I go there probably too often. James Beard Award winner for Emerging Chef. You know, it's really just a great story to see Main Street revitalized, see all of this commercial activity, this family-friendly commercial activity that is.
Spirited Eats. Oh,
okay. Yeah, and then all of these other you know, recent restaurants that we've seen open up in and around Main Street. Nope. So some additional stuff that we're seeing come online pretty soon. I should mention arts and culture, the Nile Theater, historic, great concerts basically every weekend. The Mesa Arts Center, and then the ASU Mix Center for downtown Mesa. Mix stands for multimedia and immersive experiences. So really all of the innovation around entertainment and technology, all of that is housed out of that building, as well as the Sidney Poitier School for Film, the ASU. So currently have about 150 students there. I think full capacity over the next couple of years. They're planning to have about 700 students based out of there, and we're continuing to look at opportunities to expand in downtown Mesa. And then I do want to highlight one of the big projects that is delivering in downtown Mesa, opening soon, The Grid, which is just east of Main Street and Serine. That'll be 14,000 square feet of office space with first floor retail and some great restaurants they have pre-leased there. Crust Italian, the Nightingale Cocktail Lounge and Speakeasy, and then Bombolino, which is a very cool European coffee, donut, and gelato shop. So also adding 196 apartments, 15 row homes, which are 3-level walk-up homes in that development, and then 75 micro-unit 450 square foot apartments. So, bunch of different product coming online, very exciting for downtown Mesa. And yeah, that's all I got for you. Hit exactly 10:45, so I don't know how that happened. Any questions? I know I ran through a lot. I can turn it over to my wonderful compatriot in economic development, Mackenzie.